After knowing the we'll not go into the details of the surgical aspects of the carotid endarterectomy. We know just it is the basics. Next we'll go for the post operative management. After patient getting operated, we'll be monitoring for complication. So what are the complications we'll be studying later, but the main things which you should monitor is patient's bp have to maintain around 100 to 150. How do you assess the BP is using usually intraarterial line. That would be a best choice. And also assess the patient's neurological assessment should be done every year, every hour for first 12 hours as recommended by AAN. So how do you follow up these patients and care? So when do you discharge? You discharge the patient after surgery, if no complication, within 1 to 3 days only. So most common reason for delay is inadequate hypertension control. How do you follow up these patients? After discharging, you ask him to come after 1 month. After 1 month, you will assess the carotid artery duplex study again and ask him to review SOS and explain him the complication. With respect to the wound care, patient post-operative dressing should be within, we will be checking after 1 day, and a drain should be removed within 1 to 2 days so as to decrease the chance of infection. So when do you ask the patients to get the carotid artery Doppler is usually around 6 weeks. What are the complications? The patient can have perioperative complication or post-op. What are the main important perioperative complication which we should look forward is stroke. So here the patient can develop stroke. How can a patient develop stroke in a carotid artery disease? Similar where the plaque can get embolized, or patient may have decreased BP also, or relative hypotension which develops and leads to infarct. What are the post-op complications? So important one, first one is patient can have myocardial infarction. Around 0 to 2% patients can have myocardial infarction during carotid endarterectomy. So second is hyperperfusion syndrome. The patient can develop hyperperfusion syndrome because of the recent high grade MI, and the mechanism of hyperperfusion is there is a loss of autoregulation and ability of the brain to accommodate the blood flow which is restored. So what are the risk factors the patient might develop hyperperfusion syndrome? If the patient is having high BP, or when there is patient is having high stenosis, all these patients can have hyperperfusion syndrome. So what is your work in hyperperfusion syndrome? Our work is to maintain BP. After hyperperfusion syndrome, next complication which can develop is cervical hematoma. It is an important complication because it causes airway compromise. So the risk factors include when the patient has received peri-op antithrombotic therapy. So what do you do in a case of cervical hematoma is re-explore. Fourth is nerve injuries. Most common nerve which is involved is hypoglossal, which lies near the internal carotid artery and which is most commonly injured, followed by facial nerve branch, that is marginal mandibular, followed by recurrent laryngeal nerve. So another important complication is carotid restenosis after surgery. This can occur in 2 to 10% of the patient. It is of two types, early type and late type. In the early type patient, there is intimal hyperplasia that leading to carotid restenosis, or late way is usually after 2 to 3 years that the atherosclerotic plaque might progress and the patient can develop restenosis. So what are the risk factors the patient can have restenosis? When the patient age is increased, when the patient is a female, and patient is having history of smoking. So our aim is to decrease statin and lipid lowering drug. Another important complication is surgical site infection, still can occur. This completes the carotid endarterectomy.